America has decoded the human genome, built stealth bombers, and launched billion-dollar probes into deep space. But ask it to label a floor 13, and suddenly it's all panic and hesitation. The same country that mapped the stars somehow can't handle a number printed in an elevator. Hotels pretend it never existed. Skyscrapers just jump over it. Airlines erase it like it's a slur. Even the U.S. military, armed to the teeth, quietly renumbers its ships to avoid it. All this effort for a number, not a bomb, not a virus, just number 13. This isn't a superstition in some rural village. This is embedded in the core of the world's most advanced infrastructure. So how did one number end up spooking engineers, generals, and CEOs alike? And why does a nation obsessed with logic still make design decisions like it's afraid of a ghost? This video unpacks the bizarre grip of the number 13 and reveals just how irrational even the most rational society can be.
Walk into almost any skyscraper in the United States, especially hotels, and you'll notice something strangely absent. The 13th floor is simply not there. Otis Elevator Company, one of the global leaders in elevator manufacturing, reports that between 80 to 90% of the elevators they install skip the number 13 altogether.
It's not a technical error or a design oversight. It's an intentional and calculated economic decision. Real estate developers know that units labeled as being on the 13th floor are significantly harder to sell or rent, which directly affects profitability. As a result, buildings quietly jump from 12 to 14, or they disguise the 13th level under names like 12A, or give it an entirely different label to avoid the curse altogether. In a nation built on science, logic, and engineering, this superstition still manages to bend steel and concrete to its will. Even the United States military, a global symbol of strength and discipline, hasn't escaped this quiet fear. The Navy's patrol boat, originally designated as PC-13, was never officially put into service under that number. Instead, it was commonly referred to as PC-12-A, a subtle yet deliberate renaming. This wasn't an accident or oversight, but a deliberate decision to sidestep the ominous shadow cast by the number 13.
Even the aviation industry, widely regarded as a pinnacle of precision and logic, quietly bows to this enduring superstition. Major U.S. airlines like American, United, and Delta routinely omit row 13 from their seating charts, jumping straight from row 12 to row 14, not due to engineering, but purely to ease passenger anxiety and avoid complaints. In some cases, even airports themselves follow suit, with Gate 13 mysteriously missing from terminals, as if air travel needs one less variable to tempt fate.
The Apollo 13 mission is where superstition collided with science and left a scar. NASA, the epitome of logic and precision, assigned the number 13 without hesitation. But what followed felt more like a curse than coincidence. The spacecraft launched at exactly 1313 CST on April 11th. Then, on April 13th, disaster struck, an explosion that turned a routine mission into a desperate fight for survival. The world watched, breath held, as the number 13 played out like a cosmic warning. For millions, it wasn't just a space malfunction. It was a terrifying confirmation. Even in the void of space, 13 brings trouble.
So, what are the origins of this superstition? For centuries, civilizations have built their worlds around the number 12. 12 months in a year, 12 hours on a clock face, 12 zodiac signs, 12 tribes of Israel. 12 symbolized harmony, completion, a cosmic order. But 13? 13 was the intruder, the unwelcome guest, the number that didn't belong. It wasn't just odd, it was an imbalance, a break in the sacred rhythm. Where 12 felt like a closed circle, 13 cracked it open, letting in uncertainty and fear. Time and again, the 13th figure marked a turning point for the worse. In Christian tradition, Judas Iscariot, the man who betrayed Jesus, was the 13th guest at the Last Supper. In Norse mythology, the trickster god Loki arrived uninvited at a divine banquet of 12 gods. His arrival as the 13th guest set in motion the death of Baldur, the beloved god of light. Across time and culture, the 13th figure didn't just show up, they brought doom. The number's dark association deepened during the height of Europe's witch trials. The number 13 became more than unlucky, it became feared. Whispers spread that a coven of witches always gathered in groups of exactly 13. It wasn't fact, but fear doesn't need truth to grow. The idea seeped into the public's imagination, tying the number to unholy rituals, midnight gatherings, and forbidden spells. 13 became a symbol of the occult, a gateway to dark forces, cursed gatherings, and shadowy pacts, forever embedding itself in the fabric of superstition and dread. These ancient tales didn't stay in the past. They echoed through centuries, amplified by rumor, ritual, and repetition. And then came the mind itself, our most powerful accomplice. Psychologists call it confirmation bias. Once you believe 13 is cursed, your brain starts playing tricks. You miss a bus on the 13th? Proof. Your phone crashes? Confirmation. Never mind the hundreds of uneventful 13s, you forget those. Instead, your mind quietly builds a case, moment by moment, turning coincidence into conviction. 13 doesn't just feel unlucky. Your brain makes it that way. The journey through number 13's shadowed legacy reveals something unsettling. What began as scattered tales of betrayal, disaster, and cosmic misfortune has evolved into a silent force, carved deep into our architecture, industries, and beliefs. And the irony is haunting. The world's most powerful, most scientifically driven nation still bends quietly to this invisible specter. This isn't just superstition, it's a reflection of how ancient fears, dressed in modern clothing, still shape decisions in boardrooms, battlefields, and beyond. In the end, the number itself means nothing. It's what we project onto it that gives it power. So, has the number 13 ever touched your life in an unlucky or lucky way? Tell me in the comments. I've linked some of the research in the description if you're curious enough to look. Hit subscribe and keep watching. The deeper you go, the stranger it gets.